everybody. It's Georgia Rose from Zencuda. Welcome to the Soul Space. I'm here every Monday night. As you can see, I'm not quite in the studio that you are normally seeing me in. I still have an injury and I'm working on that. And before long, I'll be back in the studio with all of you, and I can't wait to do that. So, yippee. So, tonight we're going to talk astrology, of course, because that's what we always do. But I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about, just what's going on in general in the world. I have really had so many lessons come into my life with the challenge that I've been having. I have a knee issue, and I've really been almost completely immobile. And it's been a really interesting time. I'm catching up on a lot of my work, both in my real estate job for training agents and also is a realtor. And also with my Zencuda and the spiritual things that I always get together for you guys. So it's been a really interesting time. And I have to say, I think it happened at the most beautiful time and the right time for me, because as you know, there's always divine timing in the world. And what I found is that I needed to slow down a little bit. I'm not one to really rush or multitask, but what I found was that I just needed a little time for contemplation and a little time for introspection, and really important, especially with the energy that we have coming down now for 2024, which we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So if I had to give you guys some advice on how to use this energy, I would say that this is a year that I'm just looking at my notes for a minute. This is a year about power structures and power dynamics in our lives. And I know the last couple of years we've talked a lot about that when Pluto was in Capricorn, and how we've got these dynamics and these structures and these systems in our life that are really like the environments or the containers that we live in. And those structures and environments and people and things around us give us the way that we relate to the world. They form our belief systems. They do a lot of things that we don't even realize that they're influencing us in certain ways. And the last couple of years, Saturn and Pluto and where they were in the zodiac really have been showing us where the structures collectively, our governments, our schools, things like that, have really had to be reorganized or completely dissolved, that they're really decayed, and a lot of things are, past their life expectancy, past the time where they really are going to be serving us and performing in the way that they were created to do. And so now this year in 2024, we still have a lot of that energy, but the energy shifts a little bit into our personal lives. So I suppose what 2024 is asking of us is really to think about where in our life the structures that we have in place really hold us back or restrict us in certain ways of what our soul's intention in this life really is and the things that we really want to do. And that's going to come out more and more, because right now we're building up to some phenomenal energy, powerful energy, not just this month of March, but building up to this time in April when a lot of things change. And so now is a time when we really need to go into that quiet contemplation. I believe that's why this challenge happened for me in my life, so that I really had to kind of think about some things and go home and really decide what I want to bring forward into the person I'm becoming, and what I kind of want to throw over my shoulder and say, I don't really need that anymore, right? And I think that's what all of us are going to be going through if you haven't gone through it already. There is a space in our lives that we have been neglecting, and that space is our soul. That space is the intention of why our soul came into this lifetime and why we were incarnated at exactly the moment of birth that we were. The astrology chart acts like a map for those things and those energies. But as we're experiencing our life and we're living day to day, there's a lot of things that happen, that some of which we feel and we work through and we either synthesize or we integrate into our lives, and we learn the lessons and we learn what not to do. But then there's also a tremendous amount of energy that we overlook. We sweep under the rug, so to speak. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to really take it out. We feel it might harm us, so we feel that there will be anger or pain or jealousy or something negative associated with the experience. And I will tell you that in the next month of March and April, those experiences that we don't want to look at, those places that we neglect or avoid, um, they're going to come to the surface. And they're going to come to the surface in ways that at times may seem harsh and at times may seem um, impulsive, quick, like lightning, right? That's Uranus, the Aquarian energy that we've been talking about. You can go on my media or on my last podcast if you want to hear more about that. We're going to be talking about that all year because Uranus is really the player this year. Last year it was Pluto. This year it is Uranus is the main character of this play we're all living out. And so those things that we overlook, we sweep under the rug, we don't really want to participate in, it's going to become harder and harder for us to do that because they are going to come to the surface. They're going to keep poking at us. They are going to demand and compel us to look at them, integrate them, go through them. These are the decisions that we've been putting off for a lifetime. These are the things that we've always wanted to do that we just don't take the time to do. These are the things that maybe happened to us even early in life, in childhood, that we are like, yeah, I don't need to think about that. I don't want to go there, right? These things are in our experience and put there and created for us to live through and go through because they will help our soul move forward and give us wisdom. So when we avoid it, when we don't want to look at certain things, when we are in denial, when we're detached, what will happen if those experiences, we don't have the benefit of them? We avoid the pain, but that's not all we avoid. We also avoid the wisdom and the goodness and the ability those things have to really change us and move us forward into a higher consciousness. So in the next month, if certain things happen that you've been trying to avoid, just know that they're happening for your own healing, your own evolution, and your own raising of consciousness. Now, I spoke last month and in the last couple of podcasts about how there's this amazing emerging energy from all this Aquarian energy that we've had that is really coming in to bring us an emergence of evolution in our lives, change, consciousness. That's not always easy, right? But if we deny that and we don't want to go through that, then we're only hurting ourselves and denying ourselves the experience that will bring us to what we really want. And I'll give you an example of that. Maybe you're in relationship or you're in situation, a job or, a community that is really kind of past its life expectancy for you. It's getting moldy, it's decayed, it's not as satisfying. But you feel like you're supposed to do it. So you stay. And every day you get up and you go to your job, or every day you are still in the relationship, or maybe every Sunday or Saturday, whatever it is, you go to that community. But in your heart of hearts, you're really done with it. You don't want to really be there anymore. But you're attached. And you don't want to give it up because you know that will cause you a little bit of angst, maybe a little separation anxiety. You can't just leap off the cliff and quit a job, right? You can't just end a relationship with someone you're attached to. You can't just decide not to be part of a community that's been part of your part of your life for a long time. But I'm here to tell you can, and you probably should in this energy. After thinking about it, knowing it's right for you. Because this is an energy that comes around once in a very, very long time. And we were all born to experience this energy. And I'm going to go into deeper about what this energy is as we go through tonight's Soul Space podcast. But what I can tell you is if you keep ignoring the things that your soul wants to learn, and you keep ignoring the wisdom and the messages that you are constantly being given, but you keep squashing down, you only have yourself to blame for what karma comes to you. Because we have to be brave enough in this energy and courageous enough in this energy to propel ourselves forward into the identities that we were born here to have, not the identity that our environment and our container has formed for us. That's really hard work. It's really deep work because those conditionings, those formations have taken place in our brains, in our body, in our belief systems, in the way we live. And if they're not really in alignment with who you are and your identity and what you have become through your experiences, it's going to be really uncomfortable. And things are going to start to happen in our lives that just are out of alignment. And it's almost like a misfiring, right? A misfiring of that electricity or that spark that really puts you in flow. And no good can come of that. You're going to either be stagnated or you're going to feel like you're not alive, but something is going to stop moving you forward because the treadmill, the energy that we use to maneuver and operate and move forward and flow in life is the energy of wisdom and experience. So when we block those experiences because, oh, I don't want to go there, that's going to really, really hurt. I'm not going to do that. You're not moving forward. And that's really what the next few months are going to be all about. We've got eclipses coming in. We've got next few months, we've got eclipses coming in. We've got a full moon that's going to knock your socks off at the end of this month. And we've got a lot of energy right now, which is tension. We don't have a lot of trines or what we call triangles or what we call energy that's in flow right now in the zodiac. And that's because we're at a time of learning. We're at a time when things are going to start to, pull apart. We've got a lot of oppositions, which means that when you have something over here and something over here and they're both pulling, what do you have to do? You have to find the polarity in the middle that is the same energy of both parts integrated. And that's really where we're at. So I'm going to go into the astrology and explain a little more as we go on tonight what's really going on. I can't see your comments because I'm not live right now, but I will watch the video back and any comments that you make, I'll try to answer. If you really want a quicker answer, you can always just, put something on one of my posts in my social media. So, as I said, March is about, and April as well, 2024 in general, but these next 2 months especially, are about the power structures in your life that are holding you back. And those either need to be integrated into a new, completely new phase energy, emerging into your own evolution, forming this new identity that you've had for your whole life. As you're, I should say that you're growing for your whole life, right? If we don't start to make those changes and take action, March is a month of action, action, action. If we don't start to take those actions, then we're going to really feel stuck and stagnant. And I don't know about you guys, but I know from my clients and from myself that the last couple of years prior to 2024, we have felt so stuck. It was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, control, freedom, control, freedom, control, freedom. And we're just trying to get this liberation going, right? 2024 is the year of liberation, guys. We've got so much Aquarian energy to start out the year. That is all about liberation. It's all about individuation, becoming the individual you're meant to be. And March and April are going to give us the support from the universe we need to do it. However, there's some guidelines I'm going to give you so that you don't become impulsive and take the wrong action, or you don't get overwhelmed in the amount of emotion that might be coming through for you. But think about it this way. When I say that we're all shedding conditioning, we're all shedding the containers, the formations of things that really have taught us, quotes, air quotes around the word taught us how to relate to the world, right? Like I was brought up very devout, in a very devout Catholic home. My mom was very religious. I went to Catholic school for a good portion of my life. There were certain guidelines in that. I also, another paradigm that I was brought up in, another container that I was brought up in was hard work. You want to get anywhere in life, you've got to work hard. You've got to do the work. You've got to, go the extra mile. I grew up in a culture where women did that, where the men were treated like they were superior beings almost, To this day, even though I'm all grown up, if my brother comes to visit me, I will make him a cup of coffee and put it in front of him. I will ask him, do you want me to make you dinner? That's how I was brought up. The males in the house got to come home and, relax. And we were all in the kitchen. All us ladies were in the kitchen waiting on them. I remember as a little girl on Saturday mornings, my sister and I would have to clean the house. And my mom would put on Barbra Streisand records. And it was like this, my mom was a huge Barbra Streisand fan. And we'd have this time, where, from like early morning till midday, we would clean and dust and we all had our chores, my sisters and I. Meanwhile, my brothers were out on the Little League fields. That's how I was brought up. Okay. So that formed the way I relate to the world. but it doesn't align with who I am now. I'm not really a devout Catholic. No offense to anyone. It's a beautiful religion. I still actually go to Mass when I want to receive communion and feel ritual, but I don't believe in everything of the Catholic Church. It's my personal opinion and my personal right to believe what I want. I also don't believe a healthy culture for family life is the way I grew up, with the female and the male roles the way they are. I do believe in a lot of traditional things, and I'm a very traditional person, but not in that extreme. So if I was still living those things and living and functioning in those containers, do you think I would feel aligned and happy in my life? No, because over the decades, right? I'm not 25. Over the decades, I had experiences that opened me to new ways of being, new ways of thinking, and new inner truths, new identity. And I have to live based on the result of those things that have formed me. If I only lived based on the things that formed me from my early life, I would probably be a very unhappy soul. So my soul came in to give me those experiences so that I would have other experiences, compare them, right? Relate, right? What do? We relate things, we relate people. Like I grew up with prayer. Prayer was very big in my house. Rosary was very big in my house. To this day, I still pray the rosary. I think it's one of the most powerful prayers. But prayer isn't exclusive to Catholicism. So do you see how my experiences, once I got older and wiser and started to experience other cultures and other religions and other things, opened me and broadened me to believe what I believe now? If I had stayed in that little container of, okay, we're going to church every Sunday. Okay, it's First Friday. Okay, blah, 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 I wouldn't have experienced those other things. But my soul came in to give me that foundation so that when I did experience those other religions and those other cultures and spirituality and other modalities of healing and psychic energy and all these things, I had a basis, a foundation of what is prayer, who is God, what is faith. So do you see how our soul gives us a foundation and experience that's our formation, our container, our early learning, right? But from those formative years, when we go out into the world and start to grow and feel things and understand more and become more broad and more open and more expansive to love, to joy, to other forms of living, the foundations that our soul gave us in those formative years help us decide how we're going to relate. That's an experience and an evolution. We are in a time right now in 2024, especially the months coming up, March and April, where that evolution and that emergence of our identity, of our soul's intention for us is accelerated to the 9th degree. I mean, like we are accelerating, we're in an accelerating time when our belief systems are going to be called into question, and we have to have proper agency within us, proper authority within us, based on our own experience, based on our own way that feels comfortable when we relate, that we bring forward for a new emergence, a stronger identity, and a new way of being. And that's really what this is all about. So let me go into the astrology in March to show you that, instead of, I'm just gathering my thoughts, instead of allowing yourself, in the past, we've all talked a lot about just allowing yourself to experience new things and going into new things. Instead of simply allowing yourself to do that and, dipping a toe in the water, now is the time when you really want to experience those things to bring abundance into your life. This is not a time to dip the toe in the water. This isn't a time for the planning. You've done the planning. We've done the planning all of 2022 and 23. Now, 2024 is the year of action. This is a time when the things that we've planned, the things our soul has been telling us for a very long time, get put into action. So we start out the month, the last few days. I know today is March 4th. We started out the month March 1st and 2nd with some energy that's really about transition and changing the cosmic tide. And that's starting the propulsion of these next few months. If I had to sum it up in 4 words, I'm going to tell you cosmic tide, transition, and change. That's where we're at. So you can either fight the tide, get caught in a rip current, or you can let the tide carry you, babies, because it is time. So who are we? Who are we becoming? Um, it's like I said, this emergence of evolutionary energy, and that's really what we start the month off with. And then we have Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, the planet of benevolence, also good luck. Jupiter, wherever it is in the chart, wherever it's transiting, will expand whatever energies in your life in that part. But it will also expand something you haven't taken care of or something that's niggly or bad or, negative. So wherever Jupiter is right now, you want to really look at that. It's in Taurus, and so is Uranus, which is the planet we've talked about on almost every broadcast, running the show, Uranus. And that's that sudden, impactful energy that Uranus is. Now, this next month, it's going to line up with Jupiter, which is that expansive energy. When Jupiter and Uranus align in Taurus next month, that is like ba-boom. That is like whatever needs to be broken up in your life, breakthroughs, and the energy needs to just be no longer centralized. That's going to happen. And it's already starting to happen now. So there's a lot of transits that are going to be happening in the next couple of months with planets moving into other signs, and I'll be with you every step of the way. But Neptune is going to go into Aries March 25th, right around that time when we have the moon and the eclipse. And when it does that, that's really going to, I'm sorry, Mars, I'm sorry, Neptune is going into Aries next March 2025. And when it does that, it's going to end a 14-year cycle of Neptune being in Pisces. While Neptune has been in Pisces for the last 14 years, that's been our connection to spirituality. It's been our fantasy. It's been our psychic drift, even like the way that we're like kind of flowy and fuzzy and everything's kind of like ethereal and very, very metaphysical. Okay. That's why you've seen all these gurus and spiritual people come out. Well, next year in 2025, right around this time, you're going to see that that energy really changes. And we're being prepared for that now because when Neptune goes into Aries, it's a completely, totally different energy. Aries is new emergence. Aries is new direction. So when a planet like Neptune, which is our dreams, our hopes, our wishes, our illusions, our connection with divine source, goes into a fire sign that's about new direction, this is why this year we have to start taking action to get rid of all those structures and things that are really holding us back. Because when we go into that Neptune in Aries energy next March, that's like the liftoff. We're on the launch pad right now, and we got to really do our work. So March 1st, we had the Sun, Mercury, and Neptune and Saturn all in Pisces, scrunched up in there. Last month, the beginning of the year, everything was scrunched up in Aquarius because the planets are moving. So now they're in Pisces. So what does that mean? Well, it can be a heavy energy. You all may have felt that the last few days, a heaviness where maybe you're doing something and all of a sudden you stop and you just like start staring out into space and kind of thinking about things. That's Neptune, right? It's very like floaty and, like think about like on the St. Patrick's Day parade, the balloons that just go all around, right? So with all those planets in Pisces energy, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune, it can be heavy. It wants us to kind of be contemplative and think about our imagination, our dreams. But it's a fabulous time for manifesting, making dreams come true, putting your fantasies into an energy where they will become reality. And why is that? Because every great idea, every great invention, every great progression of something starts with a thought, an idea of a fantasy, right? Imagination. That's how we manifest. So when you have all these planets in Neptune, the imagination, the phantasmical thing, you can really have the ability to manifest things. Reality using the energy of astrology. It's beautiful. And so this energy is going to build up until the spring equinox on the 19th. I'm going to be doing a separate video about that. But we start out the month with this very elusive energy. It can be an energy that makes us kind of be dreamy and kind of dream very vividly at night, by the way, but also kind of like, step out of the realm of reality and really dream big dreams. The downside of that is you can go off into fantasy. The downside of that is if you are, like I started out in the video to say, avoiding those things you really don't want to look at, you don't want to be part of, you don't want to experience. And in order to do that, you go to something that is escapism. And escapism can be anything. Escapism can be food, drugs, sex, alcohol, running on the treadmill. Escapism can be anything. But when you are attached to something in a way that now it is an escape for you, that is a negative energy. So, and a lot of times people become obsessed with like exercise or something that's really supposed to be a positive. But anytime you start to become obsessed, controlled, or attracted by or attached to something, it's become a negative energy. So, in this energy, you don't want to mistake what you think for what is true. Because with all that Pisces energy in the beginning of the month, we can really not get it. We can really think the illusion is like the best idea ever and reality, and it's not. So you got to check yourself. Whenever there's a lot of planets in Pisces or Neptune's in play, I always say, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Anybody from the 90s knows that. So it's elusive energy right now that we're in. We're going to start going away from that as the week progresses. But that elusive energy can give you illusion. Elusive means illusion. So as that energy kind of wanes a little bit, we've got a lot of transits this month. I'm not going to go into all of them because it'll sound like Chinese to most of you. But as that energy wanes, then we start to come into a place where we have our logical mind, our opinions, that Jupiter, Neptune, because Jupiter and Neptune are talking now. Jupiter and Taurus getting ready to go towards Uranus, which is Babumi. Neptune and Jupiter are talking now. And so what happens is Neptune's job is to create the illusion that we can bring to a dream. So for instance, you're daydreaming, right? Which we all do. We're daydreaming like, wow, I wish I had a boat like that. You see a boat on the bay or whatever, and you're like, wow, I wish I had a boat like that. Right? Then you start thinking about it more and you're like, wait, what would I have to do to get a boat like that? And then you go to your budget and you realize that you're spending a lot of money going out and eating, like $500 a month or whatever. And you're like, wow, if I stop going out and eating, I could like save money within a year for a down payment on that boat. That's your fantasy coming into reality, right? Maybe your fantasy, like mine, is I want to, in 5 years, have astrology be my main profession, and that is my job. And you all know I'm a real estate broker, and I have another job, which I do astrology and I do all these things, but I also am integrating it into my regular job. So I always have an earthbound life and a spiritual life, and my fantasy is I want to integrate them, which I am doing in this energy and forming business plans and taking action for certain things. Because now is the time when you can make those fantasies, those dreams, those hopes, those desires a reality. As long as you don't get too caught up in the fantasy. And as long as when you get frustrated, you don't go into escapism. Because nothing productive ever came from escapism. From fantasy, yeah. From ideas, yeah. From imagination, yeah. But never from escapism. If you're doing drugs or any of those things in order to escape your life, you're not moving forward. You're not using the emergence of this energy, and you're not evolving. I'm going to tell you that right now. So that's the beginning of the month. Then what happens is this week, that elusive, real dreamy, imaginative energy starts to kind of wane. And then we're going to be having a Mars square Uranus. What does that mean? Mars is the planet of action. It's the planet of, our gas in the car, our assertion. And Uranus is that sudden lightning bolt in the room that wrecks everything, or, lightning bolt that comes down and sets fire to something, breaks it all apart, so that we realize, wow, I have some work to do about getting myself really together here. Or, wow, I'm so upset that's gone. But you know what? It's good that it's gone because it was holding me back anyway. And now I got to kind of reconfigure in this energy. I have to reorient. I have to synthesize myself better than I've ever been. Not easy, painful, can be rough, but so good in the end. The issue with Uranus transits is we never know or understand them while we're in them. It's like when you're in the storm, right? You don't know how much more rain's going to come. You don't really know why it's raining on you. It's just happening, whatever. You weren't expecting the rain, but it's here now. I don't really understand it, but you know what? I got to go put on my raincoat. I got to go get my galoshes. I got to stay out of this tornado that's coming, whatever it might be. That's Uranus. When you're in it, you really don't get it. You don't understand it. When you start to come out of it, you're like, wow, the worst day of my life was the best day of my life, right? So that's how Uranus kind of works in our charts and in our zodiac. So we have this energy coming in on Friday and Saturday, March 9th and 10th. So this weekend coming up. And that's also when we've got the moon coming in, got a lot of stuff going on then, and it's also daylight savings time where the clocks are set ahead. So it's a little confusing. If I had a hazard guess, I would say Sunday the 10th is probably going to be not our best day. Sunday the 10th, I think, is going to be a great day for, I'm trying to find my words for this. It's going to be a great day for really staying home and looking at your future, for doing or taking action towards your future, the future you really want. It's not a great day for like love and romance or spiritual things. It's really more of a day for the physical world, for I need to do this task, or I have to complete this job in order to bring me where I really need to be in my life. It's more of that energy. However, because it's progressive doesn't mean it's the same as what you've been doing all along. So if things that have worked for you in the past, I always call them my patterns for success, you may find them changing now because this is a very progressive energy. So the way you did it before that was successful for you may need some tweaking. Remember, we're in completely new phase, new direction energy in 2024. So this is an energy that's emerging us, evolving us, but aiming us towards transcendence. And we're going to start to feel this energy build probably around tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm sorry, I'm on a wheelie chair. Probably tomorrow and Wednesday. And it's going to build and build through next weekend when it is the pinnacle, March 9th and 10th. And then we'll feel a little bit after that when it starts to wane. But this is something like, if I had to give you all and myself a sentence for the energy that we're really going to be in this vortex from like tomorrow through the weekend when it's exacting, it's going to be its strongest next Saturday, Sunday, and then waning afterwards. Mars Uranus square. It would be set your sights on something that offers you transcendence from the chaos. Set your sights on something that offers you transcendence from the chaos. We all have chaos somewhere in our lives. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's your job environment, maybe it's a community, maybe it's your family, maybe it's an animal, maybe whatever it is. Maybe it's a move you're undergoing. We all have a dot of chaos, right? Let's look at the word transcendence. What is transcendence? To me, transcendence means traveling away from something to something higher. So what do you need to set your sights on that will give you transcendence out of the chaos? And maybe your life is really peaceful now, and maybe you really don't have any personal chaos. Maybe you're too into the collective chaos. Maybe there's friends that always call you up and, moaning and griping and dragging you into it that has nothing to do with you. What do you need to set your sights on for transcendence out of that chaos? Well, it may be ending that friendship, right? And then that leaves you this space that you can put something else in, something for your betterment, something that's really for your evolution. That's the energy we're coming up on. We're in it. You're going to really start to feel it build this month. What I can tell you is in a Mars square Uranus, which is exacting next Saturday, Sunday, you're going to build to it Saturday, Sunday, and then come away from it. Mars in Aquarius, which is breaking up stuff, which is, allowing things to come through and break apart so that you have to deal with them. You have to look at them. You get put in a strange place, like, where am I? How did this happen? So you need to reorient. And in that reorientation, you gain the wisdom, the understanding of your own individuation, who you are as an individual. What is your individuated identity? That's the energy where Mars is. Uranus is in Taurus, which is self-preservation. That's the energy of, oh my God, this thing just happened. Where am I? I don't even know how this happened, where I am. This is like a strange land that I've suddenly landed in. And then Uranus and Taurus says, okay, well, we needed to break this apart because you've got to stop that self-preserving that won't let you look at this energy. And the self-preserving maybe is, I'll give you an example of the continuing the analogy that I just gave with the friendship, right? So now you want to tell this friend, I can't handle this anymore. Look, if you want to go out for a cup of coffee and talk about something great, I can handle that, but I can't handle, hearing about everything negative all day. But then you go to make that phone call and part of you says, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I can't do that. They'll hate me. What will she think of me? That's horrible. We've been friends for 25 years. I can't do it. I will look like a bad person. No, no, I can't do it. That's your self-preservation kicking in. That's Taurus energy, your survival. But the real truth is, remember, we started out and we said, what's real and what's true, right? The truth is, if you end that friendship, you're going to be just fine. And obviously, it doesn't matter what that person thought of you because they didn't think enough of you not to dump their crap on you all day. Case closed. Now you've met my Sagittarius rising. So that's the energy. We're going to get compelled to do something, set our sights on something that will help our transcendence out of the chaos. And this little thing in the back of your head is going to be like, oh no, oh no, oh no, something terrible is going to happen. I can't leave this marriage. I'll be in a shelter. I'll have no money. That's not going to happen. So I hope not anyway. So in this energy, you're going to feel that, but you have to set your sights on what's going to bring you transcendence. You have to set your sights on what is going to bring you out of the chaos, because that self-preservation is actually, you're confusing restriction with security. It's not your security. It's restricting you from coming out of what's ailing you in the first place. This can be an impatient energy, overly forceful. And for some people, this is going to be an energy that really builds and breaks things apart. Things will happen in this energy. So please, please be mindful. This is an energy that we've kind of been in a lot in 2023, but now this is like the of it. And then we start moving away from it. So that happens around the 8th and the 9th. The moon is going to start coming into play because the moon is going to start hitting every planet in the zodiac. Because remember, we've got these clusters of planets in those areas of the chart, whereas normally the planets are all over the zodiac. That's not happening right now as we begin 2024. We've got all this planetary energy in the same places, Aquarius and Pisces and Taurus, and Aries. It's all jammed into these places in the chart. So all the planets are also direct. We don't have any retrogrades until Mercury goes retrograde on April 1st. So take advantage, because when you have all this energy clustered together and it's all moving direct, that makes March a really, really powerful month. So we've got this tight wedge in Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus. What is that energy in a nutshell? New direction, imagination, connection, breaking something apart in order to show us where our resources and our individuation is, right? When that Taurus energy comes in and the self-preservation kicks in, the higher octave of Taurus is, I don't need to preserve myself. I have enough resources to take care of myself and I'm going to be okay. So you see how this all is going to play out. So now we get into the energy that's leading up to that 9th and 10th weekend. Really, really have to ground yourself to what's real. That Uranus-Mars square that's coming in is also on the heels of Venus and Uranus coming in and squaring. This is like the Tower card in tarot. If any of you do tarot, this is like the Tower card where everything just falls away, right? But anyone who's gone through the Tower card in their life knows when that happens, it actually ends up to be really good because we have so much new stuff coming in. So this can be a breakthrough for the potential to change energy that needs to change. So if you're ready and you've been waiting to do something for a long time and you've been putting it off, Now is the time to do it. The universe will support you in that action. However, it can be dramatic and it can be explosive. So be careful, be mindful, make sure that all the actions that you're taking are with love and that love's going to pull you through. That's that beautiful soul space that we talk about all the time. We're all here to expand our lives for more love, more joy, more connection, more returning to source. So make sure your actions, like check them and say, do they fit this idea of what I really want my life to become? If I take this action, is this something that's going to expand love in my life for me? Well, with the analogy that I just used, yes, because if I tell that friend I can't harm myself anymore by hearing detrimental things that then don't allow me to move forward in my life because I feel a heaviness, then I'm expanding my life to more love by removing that. Because now I have things that can come into that space and energize me, and then I can be more vital and more loving and more giving to the people in the world. So that's the energy. But what's going to happen for a lot of us and for a lot of people in general is it's going to be this crazy electric lightning striking, like explosive, dramatic thing because they've been avoiding it. They want to repress it and resist it. It's just like when you're in the dentist chair and you have to have work done and you resist it and you tense up your whole body. It hurts twice as much. Just surrender to it and allow yourself to be conscious of what your potential is and what the resources you have to cope is. So then on March 10th, right in the middle of this Venus square Uranus, which is the Venus square Uranus is something breaking apart that we love, that is of value to us, that really matters and is meaningful to us. But that's the illusion of the Pisces energy because we really don't need it. It's really not that valuable to us and it's really holding us back. So that's the energy coming in this week, peaking next weekend also with the Mars square Uranus. The Venus square Uranus is that. It's things will be removed and break apart or dissolve or begin that energy to do that, to move something away from you that you are in an illusion about that you don't really need. So then the new moon comes in, and the new moon is at 20 degrees of Pisces. So it's amplifying all this energy of the fantasy and the imagination, but we can use it for metaphysical. The problem is you can't use Pisces energy for physical because it's ethereal. It's just water. It's just you can't hold it in your hand. So when that new moon comes in, we've got the squares to Uranus with Venus and Mars squaring Uranus. We've also got an energy where Mercury is also conjuncting Neptune, that ruler of Pisces, that elusive energy. So what does all this mean? It's hugely significant because right on the heels of all of that elusive, fantastical energy in the middle of Uranus hitting Venus and hitting Mars and breaking something apart and causing this drama, and we're like kind of floaty about it at first, and then the reality hits the fan because Mercury goes into Aries on the same day. And when Mercury goes into Aries, that's a real different energy because Mercury was in Pisces. And Mercury in Pisces is our thought pattern of that imagination and that fantastical stuff. Once Mercury goes into Aries next weekend, that 9th and 10th, while we're having all this stuff happen, now our thought process isn't dreamy. Now we can take the dream, the fantasy, the imagination forward into the Mercury and Aries energy, which is the new direction. Aries energy is the starter. It's the cardinal sign of the zodiac that starts spring. So that going into the energy of the equinox, which comes in on the 17th, is an energy of completely new beginning. We have the opportunity to take that dramatic thing that broke apart, the fantasy that we had just before it of what something could be, and bring those energies forward into a new place. It's like Dorothy walking down the yellow brick road. She finally meets the people who help her. She finally understands the wizard behind the curtain is just an illusion. She helps herself out of Oz and she finds her way home. That's the energy, the hero's journey in a nutshell, but it's going to be individual for each one of you, dependent on how your chart is. And that's why you should call me for a reading. So we've got this energy coming through next weekend. It erupts and it's pinnacle on that new moon in Pisces. And I'm just looking down at my notes. And what happens is we're caught in the balance of the Neptune fantasy and the making it real. And we're caught in that balance. And then when Mercury goes into Aries, we're going to make it real. Reality check, what happened, happened. And now we're like, Wow, I didn't see that coming, but you know what? I could use the pieces to create a really beautiful castle for myself. So it's really, really cool stuff that's happening. Not easy stuff, okay, but really cool stuff. Um, that tower card, everything just flies out of the tower. And then I should actually show you guys the card. I have it here in my deck. Everything just, flies out of the tower. And we're like, oh my God, I just lost everything. But we didn't, because that was the universe just making room for all this beautiful new stuff that can come in. So it's a breakthrough and a release of energy in that new moon. And what happens is, and I'm going to tell you this, you can't control it. If you think you're going to control the tower card, or you think you're going to control Uranus square Mars or Uranus square Venus, you're not going to. The best thing you can do in that energy, and here's the guidance I'm going to give you. The best thing that you can do in that energy is to allow the flow to come over you, allow the lightning to strike. Really, like I said, ground yourself in love. Make sure that the actions you take, the decisions you make, and especially the words you use, because Mercury is making that egress from Pisces to Aries, and Mercury is communication. So in Aries, that can be really fiery. Your words have the opportunity in this energy coming into next weekend that can heal or it can wound. So make sure you really understand what you're about to say to someone, or post or text or whatever, or call, because that energy is going to be a dynamic in the change that's occurring. And in an energy like this, those are things you can't take back. They're going to be permanent. So make sure that your words the next few days up until the weekend and beyond are really words that have healing and love behind them. I'm just looking for the Tower card. Here we are. This is what the Tower card looks like. And this is what this energy coming in is like. Okay. So this is things falling away. You see how lightning struck the tower on top? That's Uranus. And everything's just falling away, coming out the windows, all black in the bottom of this, in the background of the card. But look at the color of the lightning and the strike and the crown that's on the top of the building. It's all gold. That's the power. Golden power, golden light, allowing things to fall away, the structures to come away that are preventing your soul from growing and emerging into its new evolution. And then things will start to now move away from that energy. And what I will tell you is that there's a very large signature this month of warrior energy, spiritual warrior energy. And once that Mercury and then the sun goes into Aries later in the month, this is going to really be an energy of integration for our soul's purpose. This isn't like little integration. This isn't like, oh, I want to be a fireman when I grow up. No, no, no. This is like your soul is now getting down to nitty gritty of why you are here. And that doesn't mean it has to be a grand gesture. Like, you're not here to win American Idol, This is about your soul wants more love, more connection. When I do readings on people's charts, sometimes the soul intention is a lifetime to have children. Sometimes your soul intention may be to care for animals. Sometimes your soul's intention may be to overcome communication issues that you had in a past life. It doesn't mean it has to be this big grand gesture like I'm going to be getting 5 million people on YouTube because that's what my soul wants me to do. I can guarantee you your soul does not want that, because it has nothing to do with soul energy or soul space. So think about that, because this is really a breaking in energy. And it's an energy that is like a portal, a vortex, because that new moon and the lunar eclipse that we're having, and I'm going to do separate videos about those new moon energy and the full moon energy, which comes in on the 25th. They are all about new things. This is about an emerging energy, an energy that is almost like a time warp and a transfer of time from past to future. Very, very powerful eclipses that we have coming in, especially the one that's coming next month on April 20th, because that is when Uranus and Jupiter actually meet up in the sky. So that energy is just humongous energy. There's a reason you were born to experience this energy in your lifetime. Use it for good. So all of this is building up for that energy on April 20th. I'm telling you that right now. So clean your house up, do what you got to do. Know that you are in a situation now with these moons. We have a full moon coming in Libra on the 25th. This is all about relationship. And on the 25th, when we have that full moon at the end of the month, that's when I say Libra is about relationships. It's not just like male, female, or however you identify with a partner relationship romantically. This is how you relate to the world. What is your relationship with your body? What is your relationship with health, with family, with people, with animals, with nature, with political views, with spiritual views, with your identity? We relate to everything. I'm relating to this camera right now. That's Libra. And Libra energy is about the self and other and balance of relation and relationship. But what Libra energy is really about, and I'm talking about this because this energy is going to start to come into play very heavy because we've got the nodes of the moon in Libra and Aries this year, and we've got this big full moon and these eclipses coming in Libra. What that energy is really about is balance, but not like, oh, I have to balance my schedule. What that's about is, of course, that's a symptom of it, but what it's really about is we go out in the world and we have experience and we go home, we think about the experience and we form an identity. We form a belief system about that experience, which is individual for all of us. And then we go out the next day and we have more experiences and we form more of our identity and more of our belief systems, more of our opinions and our likes and our dislikes, which is our identity. And then maybe we come home, we talk to somebody about it. And they talk to us about their ideas and opinions and experiences and identity and belief system. And now we're relating. But it doesn't stop there. Because we went out and we were ourselves, individual, having individual experiences. You know, I could have 5 people in this room with me right now listening to what I'm saying, and each one of them will have a different experience, right? Because we each all relate differently to the experience. So we have our own relation, right? Relativity. And then we talk to the other, and they give us feedback, and we talk to them. And now in that dialogue, we have more experience. But then we're meant to go back to the self, take the contemplation, the quiet time, take the relationship to ourself and integrate the experience we had with the other, the experience we had with the other situation, the experience we had in nature. If we leave the experience out there with the other or with nature or wherever, and we don't reintegrate it into the self, we're not balanced. That's balance. It's self, other, whatever other is. It could be a situation, a person, whatever the experience is. Self, other, back to self. That's balance. If we don't balance that way, then we're either all in self, you know, we're too fearful, that Taurus energy of self-preservation. No, I'm not going to experience anything over there because that might hurt. So I'm just going to stay here. I'm just going to relate to myself. I'm going to have a relationship with myself. I'm dating myself now, right? Or some people are like, it's all about the balance from the other. Oh my God, I need this person to tell me if I look good today because I don't know if I look good. Do I look good today? I need you to tell me, honey, do I look beautiful? Honey, you never tell me I'm beautiful. That's not balance. But if someone gets dressed in the morning and they say, wow, my hair looks great today. And then they go to work and somebody says, Georgia, your hair looks so good today. Oh, thank you. I thought so too. And then maybe you go back home and you laugh like, wow, they told me my hair looked great. What did I do to it? I got to keep doing that. That's balance. That's an experience that you had for yourself, shared with someone related, and then brought back. That's the balance of life. It doesn't mean, oh, I have to balance my checkbook, I have to do this. When you have balance with relativity and everything you relate to, then everything else in your life will be balanced because now you have a balanced identity. You formed your own belief systems. You experience them in a relatively healthy way with others, and then you come back and you reevaluate, you reorient, you grow more. That's the Libra Aries arc of development. Aries being the self, relationship individuated with yourself, Libra the other, the experience. So that's the balance of Libra Aries. And we're going to be coming on to a lot of energy like that. And this month is setting us up for it. And that's why, like I said, this month is all about the power structures over our lifetime that have been formed, the power structures in our lifetime right now in real time that we need to change to break through, break past, break out of whatever is restricting our soul from its full potential. And that's why I do the Soul Space podcast, because I want everyone in their soul space in full potential. And that's what the word Zencuda means, is living your soul's full potential, Zencuda, right? So the mantra for today was, what did we say it was? It was, what do I have to set my sights on for transcendence out of the chaos? And I'm going to leave you guys with that tonight. And you can find me on Zencuda Soul Space on Facebook, Zencuda Official on Instagram, and Zencuda on YouTube. I would love to talk to you, hear your comments, relate with you, and also do a reading anytime. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.